All right, welcome to episode 5 of Millennial Real Life Budget Review, where we sit down and open up a real millennials budget. We talk about their financial struggles, the goals that they want to accomplish, and then how I would rework their budget in order to knock out the struggles and achieve the financial goals. We are going to be looking at a couple from Greensboro, North Carolina. We've got a full-time paralegal and an independent filmmaker. This is really cool. Stick around and see how we can rework their budget in this video. Hey, what's up guys? It's Justine with Debt Free Millennials, the channel to help you crush your debt and live payment free. And today we are opening up the budget from a couple living in Greensboro, North Carolina. We have a full-time paralegal and an independent filmmaker who also makes money side hustling as a pizza delivery driver. So really interesting stuff. Let's go ahead and get into kind of the nitty-gritty of their situation. So the full-time paralegal makes around $3,500 per month. Her husband is a self-employed independent filmmaker who delivers pizzas on the side. Now his monthly income is around $3,000 per month. They also get a $75 cash back credit per month from credit card rewards. So their combined total monthly net income is $6,575. Now I asked them a couple of questions. I asked them how much they had in their emergency fund, and they said they have $2,000. I also asked what was the biggest thing they struggle with financially, and they answered food, vacations, lots of micro goals, lack of motivation on bigger goals, and lack of organization on what to prioritize. Now she did kind of elaborate on that and just basically said she likes to do the slow and steady approach of trying to contribute to a whole bunch of goals all at the same time and then build that up over time. Whereas her husband really likes to focus on one goal, knock it out very quickly, then move on to the next. She also mentioned that her husband is not a scorched earth approach type of guy when it comes to his money. He really likes to enjoy the here and now. And so how can they prioritize all of that? I think the biggest thing when I was reading their situation was just the lack of motivation on those bigger goals and then lack of organization of how to prioritize this, because they kind of approach their financial goals in two different ways, slow and steady or really fast and all in on one. So let's talk about their top 2 to 3 financial goals. What do they want to accomplish? The first one that they mentioned was save up enough for a down payment. So they want about $30,000 to $60,000 in a down payment, and I have some ideas of how you could stair step that so that $60K seems like a lot. So if we can break that down into manageable chunks, I think this is really going to help you. The second goal that they have is to save up for retirement. So they're trying to figure out how to save and invest for their future, but also really work on getting this house. She also kind of goes into an explanation of, you know, things get in the way. We want to travel. We were working on paying off her husband's car, so they pulled back on contributing to her 401k, and they really haven't started that back up again. So they're just kind of all out of sorts. So I think what we need to do is take a step back, and I'm so glad that you brought me your budget, because sometimes having outside perspective is all you need to get right back on track. Let's go ahead and hop into their budget and see what's going on. So I liked how they actually use this as an Excel spreadsheet. A lot of times people will send me this in Google Sheets, but just so you know, this budget toolkit, which is free for you to use using the link in the description box below, you can also use as an Excel file. So let's go over to take a look at what this monthly budget looked like in 1 month. So they had forecasted $65.75. They actually brought in $84.70. Includes extra, let's look at this, includes extra income from overtime, tips, and $1,260 FSA reimbursement for therapy appointments paid on the credit card earlier. And so, okay, I see. And so they're being reimbursed for that. So they had a surplus of $1,560 for this particular month. Let's go over and see exactly what's going on with their debts. So it looks like the only debt that they have right now is federal student loans. The total is $13,879.17. And right now, with the interest and payment pause until the end of June, actually it extends after that, because if the 10K student loan forgiveness is not approved, then the Biden administration is giving a 60-day grace period after June, and then payments will resume after that. So we're looking at like fall of 2023, which you would resume payments. Here's how I would work this, because I think this needs to be addressed. Otherwise, you are definitely going to have to figure out your payments eventually. So I would pay this down to $10,000, and then if it's approved, then you've completely paid it off. If it's not approved, then what you can do is you can actually set aside money into a high yield savings account and continue to build that up, make those payments, and then when you actually have to make payments in fall of 2023, you'll be that much further ahead so that you can make a payment to reduce the principal. What you want to do is reduce the principal as much as possible, because then less interest is charged on that principal. Okay, so that's how I would fix the student loan debt. Let's go and take a look at our budgeted items. So we have rent of $11.95. We've got electricity, wow, includes electricity bill for both October and November, and not clearing until December, so we didn't end up paying both. Okay, cool. So they had a little discrepancy in their electricity bill, but looks like they actually paid around $100. Internet was $50. Groceries, alcohol, toiletries. They spent $988. Holy cow. Lower than normal because we are trying to go alcohol free, although I guess that really didn't end up making a big difference. Yeah, in fact, you went over. Now, I am looking at the November budget, and I realize November is usually a big month for groceries because of Thanksgiving. But I have to say, this is really high for 2 people living in Greensboro. So we're gonna have to take a look at that and address that. So gas is $450, and I know this is because of his delivery job. He gets a small gas mileage allowance from his work, which we include as income. Okay, great. All right, let's take a look at phone, Netflix. It looks like there were some car repairs done. This will go down next month. Okay, we definitely need to make sure, if your husband really relies on transportation, your own transportation for his job, we really need to make sure that there's a sinking fund set up for car repairs. Even if it's just $50 per month, let's set aside $50 per month into a high yield savings account. And when those repairs are needed, we can pull that money out and not have to change up the budget for those types of repairs that might happen in the month. Okay, I love how she added a FML section. So they have car insurance for 2 cars, jeweler's insurance, renter's insurance, property insurance, and then look like she added pharmacy, but nothing there. Also fees, taxes, let's see what this is, $450. Earmarked to cover any discrepancies. I'm assuming you're using this to pay a CPA. Oh no, CPA for business and personal taxes. Okay, so if this is taxes that you might owe from maybe your husband's business expenses, that really needs to come out of a business checking account. So all business expenses really need to be separated from the personal expenses for sure. So if you can open up, I highly recommend Novo Bank. It is amazing. That is where I keep all of my quarterly tax payments saved up, and then I will go and pay my taxes specifically out of that account. It's money that is earmarked for quarterly tax payments so that I'm not accidentally spending it from definitely not my personal checking account, but also not my business checking account. This is a completely separate savings account for my business taxes. So Novo Bank, I will drop my referral link below if you want to check them out. They're amazing. All right, so fines and fees. What is this? Cash advance fee on credit card. Not sure what it is. Call the credit card company, $158. Okay. business expenses, again, I would move all of that into a separate business checking account. And keep in mind, if you're like, well, I don't have any money coming in from this business, you're gonna have to fund it somehow. And that's exactly how I started. I think when I had started Debt Free Millennials, I think I had started with something like $5,000, and that was money that I just saved up from my day job. So I gradually, put money aside for this business, and then I set up a business checking account, funded it with $5K, and I said, that's it. I'm gonna have to make more money in order to cover my business expenses. That's how I would do that. Okay, you guys have a lot of fun money. Oh my gosh, okay. Restaurants, supplements, his and her clothing, shopping, subscriptions, his and her fun money, which is a lot, $250, the one-on-one coaching, gym membership, entertainment, date night, weekend getaway. This, I think right here is kind of an issue, because if we were to take a sum of all of your fun money, we've got $1,500 going towards fun money alone. That's just money that's just blown and spent. Not to mention, you also have, $267 in donations and gifts and birthday, Christmas. So all of these things, we really have to take a hard look at if we're talking about building up a massive down payment. Also, we didn't talk about your emergency fund, which is only $2,000 and definitely needs to be more than that. Ideally, we need to be looking at 2 to 3 months of living expenses set aside in a high yield savings account. Okay, I like using Ally. I've been using them for years, but Capital One, a ton of these banks that don't have any physical locations are offering 3% or more on interest paid. So this is fantastic for you guys. So if we are taking a look at your basic living expenses, that's gonna be your rent, electricity, internet, gas, all of that stuff. Plus, have to make sure our insurances are covered. Those really are like the hardcore things that we would need to cover in the event of an emergency. Job loss, you get really sick, the car really craps out. So 1 month would be about $3,000. So if we were to take that, all right, so your first goal really needs to be $5,800. And then after that, your next goal should be about $8,700. If you had about $8,700 in an emergency fund, you'd be so secure and set in order to tackle some of these other goals. I just think $2,000 is not enough for your emergency fund. So there's a couple of things we need to do here. Number one is we need to build up the emergency fund. And I would start with the goal of $3,000 as your first goal. The second goal to be $5,800. Once that's built up, stop what you're doing and then let's focus on really paying down that student loan debt. Pay down student loan debt. Now you don't have a lot in your balance, so I'm really not too concerned about you guys paying that off really quickly. This one could be knocked out very fast. And I think this is something I'm kind of with your husband in prioritizing one single goal, going after it, and then moving on to the rest. You're definitely not going to like having those payments plus interest come next year if that ends up being the case. So again, I would pay this down to $10,000. Do what you can for the first half of 2023. Then don't pay down anything else. Leave it at 10K. Put any additional savings that you can into a high yield savings account, and then let's wait and see what happens with the approval of that 10K forgiveness. If it doesn't happen, then you'll have money set aside to even pay down that debt balance even more, so you're that much further ahead. Then now we're getting into your actual goal here of the down payment. So let's see how much you have. You have just over $2,000 towards the down payment goal. What I would do is I would start with $30K as your first goal amount. And I would break that down into very manageable chunks. Like maybe it's just like you break it up into thirds. Your first goal is $10,000, then 20, then 30. Or maybe we break it down into sixths. Your first goal is $5K. Now you're already almost halfway to 5K anyways, because you've got close to, $2,200 here. And I would make this the priority. It looks like the vacation fund got a lot of money in November. So it looks like maybe you took a couple of trips, anniversary trip, comedy show, a hotel, a Florida trip. Yeah, so we need to maybe reprioritize and reshift some of these things. I think one of the things that we can really address is the amount, the $1,500 that is going towards fund money right now. Could we shave down the fund money to just like $150 per person? Like even that feels like super generous. What about like weekend getaway really needs to be rolled into your vacation, I feel like. So the vacation fund, this really needs to be less. I would say even like $150, $200 maybe. Okay, let's get that down, and then we can start playing with the numbers here and see what's actually going on. I also see that this is not calculating correctly, so let's see what we've got. Yeah, this shows that you've overspent in some areas. So let's just zero some of this stuff out and see what's going on. New phone, future moving expenses, investing, that definitely needs to go away. Student loans, that needs to actually move up here to your minimum payment. So let's just take that out right now. Hair and nails and cosmetics is $80 a month. That seems like quite a bit as well. Date night, one-on-one coaching, I think she talked to me about this, that locked into a 12-month contract. So unfortunately, we can't move that. Let's just take all of this stuff out. You're like, no, don't take all the fun out, but we need to. Okay, so 1905. You actually have quite a bit of play money here. So if I was to do this, let's say we wanted to hit $2,900, or let's say we hit $3,000. What if I just did, $500 towards this goal? Then we would have our first goal of 3K knocked out in 2 months. And then after that, we would need to come up with what? Roughly $2,800. Let's say we could do $300 per month. That would be 9 months. I think we could do even better than that. I really feel like this needs to be up even more. So I would continue to do $500 per month until you were completely knocked that out. And that's how we need to approach this. Keep in mind, we still have $1,400 left over that we can add into our fund money category. So we just need to slightly reduce all of this stuff, okay? So slightly reduce this. Can we reduce to 75? 75. Can hair, nails, cosmetics go to like 25? We just need to shave. I'm not telling you no at all for any. I still want you to have fun. I still want you to live your life. I also really want you to hit your goals. If we continue to put $1,500 towards just blowing it on, movies and shopping and getting our hair done, then we've completely missed the boat on saving for a down payment. So the priority here is you absolutely have to get the emergency fund in place. You have the goal set up for your student loans. So I think that would be the next step. And then let's go ahead and fuel that down payment amount. Another option for you would be to, once you hit I think the emergency fund needs to be like the sole goal. If you were wanting to save for multiple things simultaneously, then I think you could also work the student loan debt and the down payment goal at the same time. So you could slowly be putting money towards that student loan debt and also really beefing up the down payment. And I would really stair step that down payment amount. You already have $2,200 saved up. Let's go for 5. And then after we hit 5, let's go for 10. And then really just stair step that up. And I think keeping it in chunks like that is going to help you see that it's manageable. I mean, imagine $5,000. You're like, okay, that's a good amount of money. Imagine hitting 10. You're like, okay, I'm a third of the way there to 30. Let's keep going. And it becomes a game. How can you gamify your budget in order to hit these goals? How can you shave things off? We didn't even touch your grocery bill. Like $800 for 2 people is a lot. And I hear you when you say food inflation has gotten ridiculous. I hear you because I'm feeling it as much as you are. In fact, this is something that I strive to get under myself, is $800 a month. So how can we gamify our grocery budget and making sure that we are staying underneath? I would really like for you guys to be spending like around $600 per month on groceries. And then let's go ahead and add that additional $200 in savings towards the emergency fund. Imagine knocking this out. Imagine having, close to $9K in emergency fund money where you're like, I just feel so much better that we have that money. This is good to go, done. Now I can prioritize the next thing. So I see that you have all of these like new car, new computer, new phone. I mean, this is all just stuff, right? New car down payment. Okay, the goal is $1,500. Looks like you hit that. I'm not a fan of putting down payments on cars and getting car loans. I think you could totally save up for a brand new, like a new car, new to you car, and pay for it in cash. And that way you don't have to worry about payments. That's how I would break it down for you guys. I think you have a lot. The good news is you have a really high income actually and low rent compared to your income, that you have a lot of choice. And I think right now a lot of your choice has been, well, we just want to have fun and be able to prioritize that. Also realizing that you want to have enough money for a big fat down payment and be able to be homeowners one day. I'm telling you now, if you continue to spend $1,500 plus on the fun stuff, it's really going to derail you from that down payment goal. If truly home ownership is the plan, then let's work those steps that I just outlined for you in order to make that a reality. And you can get there, absolutely. I love that you guys sent me your budget and trusted me to give you some advice for that. Don't forget, if you guys like these episodes, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to go deeper with your own money situation in a private one-on-one setting, my budget boot camp is open and available to you guys, where we talk about your budget, your goals, your struggles, and come up with a roadmap to help you achieve them. That is linked below, and I'll catch you in the next video.